My name, as we said, is Ingrid Bonde Akerlind. I'm an investor at Ox. We're a specialist SaaS VC backing Europe's and Israel's most promising SaaS companies at the scale-up stage. But the session is about Rytis, so let's move over to that. So Rytis, could you start off by telling us a bit about yourself, the journey that made you start Omnisend and the vision going forward? Thank you.
Hello, Ingrid. Hello, everyone. Really a great pleasure to be here and to share some experience with Nordic and Baltic companies, I believe, who are joining today this great event. Yes, so what about myself? I'm co-founder and CEO of Omnisend, which you have mentioned already. This is my third startup attempt. Twice I failed. This time seems like going quite good and pretty successful. We are a bootstrap startup, currently at 21 million in annual recurring revenue. And we have doubled in the 2020 in the past year, then tripled in 2019. And of course, we have a huge ambition to double this year as well. So first quarter is going that direction. And what Omnisend is in general, so it's kind of some data about the startup, and Omnisend is marketing automation platform built for e-commerce businesses. So for those who do sell online, we help to increase their sales, but not a workload, by empowering them to send automated as well as campaigns via email, text messages, web push notifications. And it's all packed in like that simple to use user interface from all the way from beginner to really kind of grown up businesses and scale ups and growing e-commerce businesses who can utilize Omnisend and communicate with their existing customers in order to retain them and of course drive new sales.
Super interesting. I can't wait to get into more. I also note that you said that business is going quite good. At the same time, you're at 20 million ARR and doubling. And I saw that you were recently on the FT's list of the fastest growing companies in Europe. So I can only say congratulations, and you're being too modest, I think. So I think that what the audience would love to know is obviously, what's been the secret sauce behind this growth? Why has Omnisend been so successful?
Yeah, very good question. So, there is no kind of one secret sauce, what I would say. So probably there are a few things from the very beginning. So being from Lithuania in our case, or like maybe from other smaller markets. So us picking the global market from day one, no kind of sandboxing in the local market. It's probably that was the first thing, because really it made us to know how to play in the global markets. And currently more than 50% of our business is coming from the United States alone. So our home market is United States. So we do have office now there of 20 people, but that was not definitely from the beginning. We have opened it like 18 months ago or so, when the company was already like close to 10 million in ARR, a bit less, but like 7 or something like this. So, so that's a thing, first thing. Then second thing, we chose the niche. E-commerce is our customer. Online store is our customer. And globally, this niche is big, and globally, this niche is fast growing. Of course, COVID has accelerated it, but even before that was a fast growing niche, and we had a strong belief that e-commerce will definitely disrupt the traditional retail, and it's going to happen in 5, 7, 10 years. Now it has been accelerated, it's happening faster. But since the very beginning of Omnisend, this thing has not changed. So basically, global ambition, niche within the global ambition, global market, and then of course it's great team. When I defined great, so probably the ability to adapt fast to change the circumstances, because circumstances are changing rapidly and always, and the ability to adapt across the entire team, that's extremely important. So the great team can build great product, which definitely customer centricity, and great product which helps our customers to drive more sales in our case. And that's the lesson which I have learned from previous started attempts, which were failures, is really that you have to solve monetizable customer pain. There are products which is nice to have, or like vitamins, and there are painkillers, products which are really solving the problem, and your customers are willing to pay for you because the value you create is way larger than they pay for you. So that's a thing. And what I would say the fifth for us is really bootstrapping. I believe it helped us a lot. Just because it forced us to focus on our customers' needs instead of some other things. So probably those 5 things are the most important for us. And of course, the 6th is a bit of luck. I mean, That's very important. But of course, it's very important. Are you ready to accommodate this luck?
Yeah, you have to, when you see it, you take it, but acknowledging that there's luck involved in the journey, I think is very true as well. Love to get back to the bootstrapping. Just one question before we go there. One topic I always often talk about with founders is really, when is the right time to open that US office? You mentioned it happened for you at about 7 to 8 million ARR. Would you say that was just right, a little early, or a little late? Would you have done it the same time if you did it again?
Yes, I would say that was right for us. Basically, my answer would be initially make US market significant for you before you open. And it doesn't matter at which level of ARR you are, but I believe that from a distance, you can make US market. It might be not your primary market, maybe 20%, maybe 30% of your business coming from that, then it makes sense to open. So you can really get into the US market without having boots on the ground. So that would be my advice, because it's really expensive. There are cultural differences, they do exist, and you have to be ready to accommodate all of that. So let's say for those who are attending this event and maybe in the early stage and considering, so the math is simple. If you just raised, like say, seed round of 200,000, 500,000, and you will spend 200,000-300,000 for establishing US presence. It's not worth. I mean, spend half of your investment or full of your investment, definitely it's not worth. But then you already from your ongoing business can allow yourself, and it really makes sense because you have already opened this market, then I would advise to go there physically.
So if I sum up, it's sort of make sure you can sell first and then take on the risk to build up physical presence, which is obviously a bigger endeavor, so to speak.
That's what I would
I think that's super helpful advice. I think it is one of the questions that many Nordic and Baltic founders are asking themselves. When do I do it? Because I know I need to, especially in SaaS.
Yeah.
So if we come back to the topic though of bootstrapping, I think that that's something that's also super unique about Omnisend. You've done this journey without any external funding. What do you think made that possible for you?
So I would say probably like two things. One, of course, like technical detail. The Omnisend was spin-off from digital marketing agents. So we were capable to fund ourselves at the very initial stage. Yeah, that is important part. Of course, if you are just coming from university or so, maybe you have zero resources to fund yourself. But my advice for all the startups would be like, try to bootstrap as long as you can. For two reasons, I would say. First reason is we don't call ourselves bootstrap. We prefer calling ourselves customers funded. What does that mean? That each lovely month, we don't have long-term contracts. It's month-on-month payments for all of our customers. Each month, initially, you have to fundraise from hundreds of customers, from few customers, from hundreds, from thousands, 10,000s, and you have to fundraise each month. That means that you have to prove all of them that you are creating the value. You have to create value initially and then show this value. And that's what really puts the customer at very, very core of your business. Not investors, not yourself, not someone like experts, but the real customer. It's one thing. Second thing I would say is really like being customer funded means that you have constant shortage of resources, which really unleashes your creativity. Instead of going like traditional paths and like spending more money on PPC because we've got some money and because maybe our investors are pushing to do that because we need to grow faster. So that unleashes your creativity. Okay, because we have limited amount of dollars, where should we invest each dollar to get a positive ROI? So probably those kind of two major things which worked for us very well, and that's why we are happy because we chose this path. The third, which is maybe not that important, but at least in our case, in e-commerce industry, which at a glance might seem to be very innovative industry, but apparently it's not. It's really conservative industry because the vast majority of our customers, they are retailers and they are forced to become digital ones. And they are not early adopters. And once we launched Omnisend, there were many other companies who can at the same time launched with solving the same problem. And from all of them, actually two companies I would say succeeded. It's us and one competitor. Both of us were bootstrapping. Now we have raised, we have not yet, but that was what bought us time and patience, strategic patience. Yeah.
Interesting. So I'd love to also touch on the topic of advisors. That's often something that when you do raise capital from a venture capital firm, that is part of the package that they're providing. You've obviously needed to find advisors, SaaS experts, growth experts, other types of experts to advise you and your team on your journey. How have you gone about that as a customer-funded company?
So what I believe in most and what I really practice on, let's say, monthly, daily basis. So I believe in peer-to-peer advice the most. So I have a network of founders of similar size companies, similar industry companies, either exactly the same, those who are serving, let's say, e-commerce businesses, or on some, like, some other industries, but at the same size. So, and we do have like just cadency calls, bi-monthly calls with those founders with one main question: what have you learned in the past 2 months? So, and those are the best advices we get, because they are currently going through exactly the same problems, issues, challenges as you do. Maybe a bit different, but this is very kind of contextual, and this is very timely. Because other advisors, if someone has succeeded 10 years ago in your industry, the industry has changed tremendously. Advice might not work. So that's what works for us the best. We are, peer-to-peer advice with fellows who are in very similar situation as we are, either by size or by industry, or both.
And how have you gone about finding those peers, perhaps at different stages of your journey, given that you've obviously scaled quite a bit over the past 7 years?
Yeah. So initially, just you just write them. And because we are not recognized experts, they don't have overloaded inboxes. And you say, okay, I'm doing this, you are doing, I see you in the market. Yeah, I see you in the market. Seems like you're doing something right. So let's chat. And that's how you start building those relationships. And then, of course, events, physical, digital events, etc. We meet again. Then you have a pint of beer, build those relationships. And of course, that's how you grow your network. Some of them, of course, maybe got stuck, some of them fail, etc. But then you replace, maybe some of them launch new startups, but at least they are entrepreneurs, founders, and then that's the network.
Super interesting. So one thing we do think a lot about at Ox is how important it is to have strong foundations for the startups that we work with, and so that they can really scale sustainably in order to avoid the trap of taking on capital and then essentially being pressured to grow faster than is healthy for the people inside the company. You're growing quite quickly at doubling headcount year over year. How have you thought about structuring your culture and how your team works together to set goals to maintain a strong culture that's going to scale for the future?
Yeah, team, as I mentioned, team is one of the secret sauce for success, which I believe for any company, either a startup or any other companies. And of course, team is being built on the culture. So in our case, we bring the cultural fit prior to professional skills. So if the person is not a fit culturally, but has a very good skill set, we are not hiring such people. Because it can ruin the culture, and this could become like extremely dangerous. So what about the culture? So I would say it's customer centricity, so orientation into the customer, not myself, customer centricity. Second thing, which is extremely important, is really a team play. So we bring the team, the organization, prior to each individual. And it's like, the bonuses, so everybody just has a flat salary except salespeople in our case. No TEATs, no targets, no financial targets, just because you would like to support the team game. And that's what I constantly repeat for the team. Yes, I understand that you are professionals. You are very good. You are ambitious people. And that's very important. But the MVP is being chosen only from the winning team, from the champions team. So if you are the best player in the losing team, nobody cares about you. Yeah, you have to be the best player if you want to, but initially the team should be winning. So we bring team over to individual accomplishments, and that's very important, I would say. Probably. So that's kind of two major things. So the team play and focus to the customer's needs instead of our own as a company, instead of personal needs.
Which I think is quite common. Actually, that's regardless of the funding model for your company, those two things are the most important.
Yeah.
So I realize we only have a few minutes left here, but just wrapping up ahead, you said that you have pretty ambitious growth plans for the coming year for Omnisend as well. So I'm sure some people in the audience would be very curious to know, what sort of roles are you hiring for? Perhaps if they themselves are really excited about the Omnisend story, or they know somebody who is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So as a company growing, so definitely headcount is growing, and we're looking for professionals distributedly. And yeah, so probably we kind of focus more engineering and product development in Lithuania, and then having people closer to each other. That's important. But our marketing team is remote, fully remote.
Okay.
So definitely we have a lot of open positions in marketing, in customer operations, CSMs, sales, partnerships. So all the kind of more go-to-market or customer facing roles, which we are a remote organization on that part. So if someone of you now would like to explore Omnisend and maybe join our team, I believe great team. So definitely on our omnisend.com/career page. Check it out. Definitely. We are constantly hiring, as I believe every growing startup.